Hello, hello. I want to welcome all of you to another hour of some of the stuff you can hardly find anywhere else except right here on the Universal Consciousness Show. My name is Aage and I'm one of the hosts, and I'm sitting here in the southwest of the United States where it is nice and warm these days. And I'm good with that. And my co-host is Diana, and she is over in Germany where maybe it is not quite as warm. Are you still with us there, Diana?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Here it's cold and wet and gray.
Yeah, I kind of thought so. Well, I'll think about you when I walk outside later on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. For those of you that like to listen to this show again, you can find it archived just about everywhere, I guess, on YouTube, YouTube, iTunes, Facebook, and on social media. And of course, it'll be on the LNM website. That is at www.lnmradionetwork.com, and also on our websites, which is at www.aage-nost.com, where you will find my blogs and over 3,000 of unbelievable photos of things that really should not exist, but they do. Strange stuff. And also, you will find it archived, in a few hours on the radio show website at www.universal-consciousness-show.com. And of course, also we'll put it on Facebook, so you can see it there too. And for those of you that like to participate in the show and ask questions, get in the chat room and send us a question, or you can also call in at 202-599-7943. I'll repeat that because I know there was a few people scurrying around trying to find a pen right now. So that's 202-559-7943. And if you know somebody that is just can't get to a computer right now, call them and tell them to listen live at 701-719-9704. And today we're going to have a phenomenal show because our guest is a gentleman whose life story is something most people just would dream about having. On top of that, a few decades ago, he had an incredible experience where he was invited to come on board an extraterrestrial spacecraft, and he did. And they did not abduct him. He went voluntary. And they asked him if he would come with them to go on a trip to their world and have a discussion. There was a meeting. And he went with them voluntary. Boy, that had some guts. I'm not so sure I would, but he did, and this turns extremely interesting. And we're going to talk about that in the second half of this show. There's some other things that we need to do first, and I like to say a little more about him also, and that is that I've gotten to know him fairly well. We've talked quite a bit, and because we have actually also worked together, and he helped us create a video documentary of all the things we are not supposed to know about, and that got interesting too. And he is highly respected in the motion picture and the videographer industry. He has written several books. He is best known for Fast Walkers. That's the video that the estimation is that there were some 200 million people that saw it around the globe. This was on the disclosure of the alien presence here on Earth, and which of course he invited and interviewed 25 of the most known UFO researchers, the contactees, and experiencers. Now, fast walkers that won international acclaim awards, including the People's Choice Award from the UFO Congress. The UFO Congress is the largest gathering of UFO enthusiasts in the world. And Fast Walkers was personally delivered to all members of Congress of the United States and also to the Canadian Parliament and NASA. They all needed to see this. And it was also premiered in 5 other countries. So currently he's running 2 television series. One of them is UFO Chronicles, and the other one is Fast Walkers Open Files. And altogether, he have produced 18 motion pictures, with 16 still in distribution on major international TV and network series as Amazon Prime and Netflix and places like that. And also he has them on his website, timestreampictures.com. That is timestreampictures.com. And he's a world traveler. He's built some ships, and he have it's been quite a ride. And there is more, but doggone it, we need to spend some time talking about things too. So I want to welcome to the show Robert Miles. Are you there, Robert?
Hi, Aage. And
Hey.
and hello, late night in the Midlands, huh? We're gonna have a great show, and I just want to thank all of you for having me on. And I really look forward to doing this show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, hello, Robert, and thank you so much for being here today. We already hear that it's so much to talk about here. Can we start with something really exciting that you are involved right now? You wrote a screenplay called Starseed, and it is in the process of being made into a feature movie right now. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh, absolutely. Starseed is really an exciting project. It's kind of a unusual kind of renegade feature-length motion picture, because what it's trying to do is break the traditional Hollywood approach to movies about aliens. And this is an exciting and interesting story that combines a lot of elements, but probably the most important part of it is that we want to show in a good light in this Starseed feature film that, there's great aliens out there who are trying very hard to work with the people of Earth and help them use their free will to change the future of our planet and improve our planet through the release of Earth-friendly technologies. We're talking about technologies like anti-gravity being applied instead of burning all this oil. We're talking about technology where we desalinate water from the ocean and we no longer have droughts. With just some amazing things that people will discover when they actually watch the feature film. And what's happening right now is that we've got a Kickstarter campaign running. And if anybody would like to know more about that, we encourage you to do so. Even if you can't donate, go in there and go to starseedmovie.net and you'll find a website. And then if you go to Kickstarter and key in Starseed the movie, our Kickstarter campaign will go up. And take a look at that. We've got an exciting video, don't we, Aage and Diane, that we're going to play. It's the Starseed Kickstarter, I guess they call it a pitch video, but it's more than that. And we're really fortunate to have Nick Pope who's one of the most well-known people out there in the UFO group, if you'd call it a group. Actually, it's far more than a group. It's a movement, the UFO movement.
Oh, it's a global movement.
Yeah, it's a global movement. You're right, Aage. So if we can key it up, why don't we take a look at the Kickstarter movie for the Starseed motion picture project?
Hi, I'm Nick Pope. I'm working with a creative team to help produce Starseed, a feature film based on an original screenplay by Robert D. Miles. The aim of Starseed is to break away from some of the negative Hollywood stereotypes about extraterrestrials and explore the true meaning of disclosure and its far-reaching consequences. Starseed will help shed light on a subject that for far too long has been ridiculed, disbelieved, and denied. We're going to explore not just the emotional consequences of contact, but some of the technologies that might derive from it. Everything from new forms of transportation to a way to clear up our polluted planet, and even new types of healing. Your generous contributions will help us distribute Starseed to a global audience across multiple platforms and in numerous different languages. And it's going to help make similar films of this kind in the future. This is your chance to join the revolution, to join the resistance, to help do something truly amazing with this wonderful subject of extraterrestrial contact. This is your opportunity not just to help us make this film, but even perhaps to be a part of it yourself. Thank you for your generous support.
Oh, I love that video. It is so good. Especially the last one where that ship comes down and lands right in front of you. That feels like home to me.
Yeah, you know, we've got such a great team of people working on this project. And Aage, you know a lot of them, and hopefully Diana and the people out there in her part of the world have heard, you know, not only about Nick Pope, but Travis Walton. We've got a fantastic person who's directing the picture, and his name is Steve Lentz. And he's also worked diligently on my original screenplay, and, you know, he's made some changes, and that's to be expected when you have a screenplay. People always want to do their part in making it even better than it was originally. We've got amazing person by the name of Dixie KS, and Dixie, a lot of people know her out there in the UFO ET world because she's held all types of group meetings at her place, and she invested a lot of money in helping to fund this project, as did another wonderful person, Fran Lentz. And so we've got just a great team. We've got a person who's working as the person who's doing our posting and internet work, and her name's Malie, and she's so bright. I call her Bright Star. It's what
Okay. And this movie, I can see it's going to turn into a turning point for people who think of the future and alien visitations and wonder where humanity is going, because if things were kept in a peaceful way and technologies was allowed to be released to us, this movie will show what the future will be like. And the really good part is, a few months ago, I drove up to Phoenix and I met you and the director of the movie, Stephen Lentz, and we had a nice visit. And a week ago, I talked to Stephen on the phone, and guess what? He's got a thing in the movie for me, so I'm going to be in there too. That's exciting for me.
Oh boy, that's great, Aage. Yeah, Steve is terrific, and you know, we really got to give him a lot of credit, because I can't tell you how many times that particular Kickstarter introduction clip, the pitch video, as people call it out there in the world. I can't tell you how many times he re-edited it, and how many times he re-edited the poster and our graphics, and so did Malie, and so did another great team member, David Franks. David Franks is an amazing animator who, you know, Aage and Diane, he has done all types of animations for many of the big best-selling games. And he's a world-recognized and awarded animator who we're just so pleased to have him aboard. And I want to make sure and also mention at some point in this, Aage and Diane, some of the other great people that are a part of the team.
Yeah, and I think also what is going to happen is that it's going to open up the awareness to, because it ends up in the movie theaters. So Joe Blow and Harry Hohandle and Mr. and Mrs. America is going to go there, and they're going to see some of these technologies that have been withheld for us. And they can say, wait a minute, why don't we have that? I think it's going to be a total turning point for humanity.
Well, I agree with you totally. And, you know, yes, it will be part of the strategy of the Starseed motion picture team to take it to theaters. And actually, it's much easier than it used to be in the old days when we had to take a print down, you know. Now it's all done digitally, and they can project it on the big screen right off of a high-definition 4K file. But what's more important, I believe, Aage, is that people are turning towards streaming. This whole digital revolution, generation, where people watch things online. And of course, Starseed, the motion picture, is going to be available on all the platforms, you know. And I just think there's never been a more amazing time to share information. And you brought up a real key point. It's going to change minds. And it brings up the question, and I'd like you to address this a little bit, Aage, and possibly you too, Diana. Why is it that we don't have disclosure now? Why is it that the people of the world are not allowed to benefit in these secret technologies that are being hidden away and kept from us? You know, we've had anti-gravity technology since the 1940s. And you know that, Aage. You personally experienced, because you're a commercial airline pilot. I don't know how many people know, Aage, that you had your own commercial airline. I don't know how many people out there know that you have over 10,000 hours of flight time and 1,000 hours of acrobatic training, flying upside down. Hey, you're an incredible dude.
Well, I don't know which one of those two were more fun, but I did have some fun with the aerobatics. That was a blast.
Yeah. Well, what about this disclosure thing, Diane? Why are people not getting to understand, first of all, that the world's a lot different if they only had access to what the elite people in the world know about?
Well, I don't know what to say about that, but I think that that people, they are not connected to the right information always, so they are seeking for something outside, and they are not finding what they are seeking for. So I really don't know what to say about. I'm living in a closed world here in Germany, and I see that the people, they don't get the information. They are looking in the wrong direction always.
And I think she's onto something there, because Germany and many European countries are even more brainwashed and controlled by the media than the United States is. And that's a sad state of affairs. And maybe if I can comment on why we don't have a disclosure yet too, I think it's a couple of reasons. One of them is totally economic, because it's kind of obvious that people is coming light years away to here. They don't use gasoline to get here. and they don't burn oil. So the oil companies and the powers that be, they don't want this technology out because it will interfere with their purse and their power. And it's going to cost them money. In fact, it will destroy their industry. So they don't want that. So that's probably because of the money they're making and the power they have through that money, they keep it all hidden. And the other one is religion. Religion, if the aliens show up and we find out that, hey, they look different, much different, but they're nice. They're not demons. They're not here to kill us and eat us. Oh, that would totally interfere with religion because they are based in fear. If it wasn't for fear, religions would have nothing. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, Aage, I rarely disagree with you.
Okay.
I'm going to take this opportunity to point out, not to disagree with you, okay, but simply to point out that there's been a dynamic and terrific change, because when we released Fastwalkers, we were fortunate to have, as part of that footage, an interview with Monsignor Geraldo Balducci, who was the senior demonologist for the Pope. And he's at the highest level before he passed away, and he passed away recently. But on that Fastwalker DVD, you can see and hear Geraldo Balducci being interpreted by Paula Harris, who, by the way, is an amazing person. And he actually comes out and says that the Catholic Church recognizes that there are other worlds and there are other children of God, and that they're not angels, they're not ghosts, they're a totally and completely different planetary civilization. And you know, Aage, when that was released, it was astounding because there was over 1 billion Catholics on this planet that believed it was a mortal sin to involve themselves with anything that had to do with extraterrestrials. You know, they were considered devils. So this was groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not as well versed as probably you are or many people are about the world religions, but there's some of them that are getting on board. And I want to tell you, a lot of that is due to the activity of Steve Bassett, who's just an amazing guy who's held the X conferences and now is traveling through Europe. He's currently in Russia, and he's taking the message of disclosure to people everywhere. And I just want to say what a great job so many of the people that Steve and people like Grant Cameron, people like, now we have the introduction of Tom DeLonge coming in with the Starseed Academy, and he showed the world that UFO clip where what were they, Aage? Were they F-16s, or what were they, were engaged with a UFO?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I just want to validate the hard work and tell the world, look around, go out there on the internet. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Find out for yourself. Wake up.
Yeah.
You know, the mainstream media covered up every one of the X conference interviews, and so did the major newspapers. And you can comment about who owns the media, Aage, because you're very familiar with that.
Well, there's only a few families that pretty much owns everything that has influence and power. So you could, and they are on each other's boards. So they are interlocked into one big conglomerate that probably is controlled by a few or maybe even one at the very top. So, and they control the media, so whatever is on the media, that is the same everywhere. We got 5 minutes left here for a break at the bottom of the hour, so I'm going to mention something that I saw on TV. That was several years ago, and that was Conan O'Brien. He had about 10 different clips from TV stations across the country, and they said the exact same thing all of these stations. They were no different. So you could very clearly see they were told what to say by somebody that had it scripted out for them. And we get that script and we buy it, think, oh, wow, these people are brilliant. No, they're not. They're just talking heads. They're just listening or reading what they're told to read. And these are the handlers that is giving us what we are supposed to believe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're reading off a teleprompter. And the people in the back room are bringing up the images. Now, Aage, we're gonna play a trailer clip coming up either before or after the break of a short little promo we did for you talking about UFOs. And if Katie, by the way, we've got a wonderful person running the back of this video engine. Her name is Katie and her husband is Daryl. And they're magnificent people that are the producer level, and as well as Michael Vera. We're so pleased that he's allowing us to be on his network, Late Night in the Midlands. So whenever we want to run it, Aage, it's up to you.
We got a couple of minutes left here. Let's do that video after the break. And now for the next 2 minutes, you've written some books too. Would you mention that and maybe what you're doing with some of these books before we go on to the break in a couple of minutes?
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, I just am so indebted to my fiance, Leslie Mitz, in the creation of our books. And yes, we've written a few. You know, we've written quite a book called Lycandroids, and that's a term that she came up with. Lycan meaning wolf and droid meaning like an animated creature. And that's Lycandroids, Super Soldiers, and the Freedom War. And I love to create, I love to write, but she is a grammarian. And she does an incredible job, but she's also knows this incredible UFO and cryptid field. And we've just made arrangements to go to the cryptid conference in Kentucky later this fall, because she understands and knows and are in contact with just an amazing number of people that are researchers. And in that book, Lycandroids, in the back of the book, the front is a science fiction story, but in the back of the book, the actual case history, the people that have engaged with this incredibly dangerous creature weighing over 800 pounds, fierce, kills people, eats people. We've got documented cases of them also attacking horses and cows, and I think, we personally think they're responsible for many of the terrible disappearances that David Paulides talks about in his books, Missing 411, and he's got 5 books out there. They're amazing books. And then we've got a book that's called Genesis and the Extra Terrestrials that documents the history of the whole UFO movement by Germany going back as far as 1938 and the establishment of the German migrational colony in Central and South America, and where the Catholic Church, the U.S. government, and all of the people in power in Russia knew that Adolf Hitler was alive, and they allowed him to escape. They allowed him to live out his life, and we have documented proof of that in another DVD we have out, and it's called Adolf Hitler's Great Escape. It's one of our UFO Chronicles DVDs, and we've also got our books on Amazon, and people can get them off our website. And anyway, Leslie, yeah, I just want to say she's amazing. She's an ex-director of MUFON for the state of Tennessee.
That sounds wonderful. I want to say that I have read those 2 books, and I would highly recommend them because I don't read the dark stuff much, but I got into Lycandroids, and I just couldn't put it down because it explained what really is the technologies behind it and so on. So it was very interesting to me. And I see now that we are just coming up on the break. So let's do a 4-minute break. And that's just enough for people to go and refresh their coffee. So we'll be back in 4 minutes.
For that.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on latenightinthemidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
The L&M Radio Network offers a chat room for you, the listener, to connect with others who are interested in the topics and guests that the L&M Radio Network brings to you. During the live shows, the hosts will even visit the chat room and chat with you, the listener. Click on the big red Chat and Listen button at the top of the website and join us. No subscription is needed at either lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
Hello, hello, and I guess we are back. And in this segment here, the last half of the show, we're going to talk about something incredible. And Robert, could you maybe lead into this by also telling us also just a little bit more about you for about a minute or so, and then tell us about your incredible experience where you had an extraterrestrial come and visit you and invite you to go with to another world?
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that, Aage. My life has been an interesting story. I guess I've been blessed with this inner desire to go out there and meet people and visit the places where they live and to listen to the people, to get to know them, to see and feel what their culture's like. And more amazing to me than my own experiences is the experiences that they've had. I mean, some of these people have such deep insights and such wisdom. And because of that, I began to learn how to do, television. I started out as a writer in San Diego for the San Diego Log, which was a boating publication, because as you know, I was very, very interested in boats and ships and that kind of thing. But what really has spurred me on is that I've discovered that, first of all, and we'll see it when we later show the Safe Space vision clip, that, the people of the world don't want war. They don't hate each other. War is a fabrication. It's a fabrication of the elite who, for some reason, feel that they're superior. And perhaps they have been upgraded. I can talk more about replicants, in other words, artificial people with downloads of consciousness. But the bottom line is that if we only knew each other better, if we use this amazing technology now available to virtually everybody and more coming on every day, to utilize the internet, to get to know each other, to communicate out our differences, what a different world this would be. Because who wants to send off their young? Who wants to send off their bright and shiny best to be killed in some ridiculous war that benefits the bankers? I'd like to hear your view on that, Aage.
Well, you're exactly right, because think of it. People do not go to war. Governments and industry does. And there's really, I can't think of any more than two reasons for war, and one of them is economic and the other one is religion. That's why I used it saying all the time, it would stagger the mind to imagine how far humanity would have reached by now, was it not for government and religion.
Yeah, and most people don't realize that before a country can go to war, it takes out huge loans from international bankers. And it used to be that it took about 10 years to build a country up, like Japan, to the point where they could fight us, and like Germany, so they could fight us. And then we have an inciting incident, which is usually what's known as a false flag, which simply means it's not true, that leads us into the war, like Pearl Harbor. Like the attack supposedly on the Archduke that started World War I. And these bankers are benefiting all that time because they're giving countries money as loans and then selling them ammunition, guns, tanks, aircraft, now nuclear weapons. I mean, it's incredible. So if people can just look beyond the fact that and be like sheep herded towards war, they might, I don't know, maybe they would think differently. Maybe they wouldn't go. Somebody would throw a war and nobody would show up,
Yeah. Yeah, we're laughing at that, but if people were in charge, that's what would happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that there are a few lesser bright people that actually volunteer to go into the military. And I say that with tongue in cheek because I'm sure they're intelligent, but they may not be very smart. Because if you go into the military and you end up in a conflict, you don't have a way out.
Yeah.
You're going to kill something. That's what you are paid to do.
Yeah, you know, Aage, but there's so many people that serve honorably. And there's so many perks now for people to go in the military when there has been a shortage of jobs, because they get education and they get opportunity to learn trades and crafts. So I think the bright side of the whole military equation is that you've got superheroes that are defending us, and sometimes if their skills were just utilized for the good of mankind instead of the destruction and wampum killing of the enemy, the world would be so much better. Aage, you know, we were going to show that trailer for your DVD.
Oh, yes.
And then we're going to go ahead and talk about the DVD that's now a part of Open Files, Fastwalker Open Files. So if Katie can cue that, let's roll with that. I had the pleasure of interviewing Aage at great length. It was a real pleasure, and we did produce a great product. Aage, that's a long one. I think it runs 2 hours almost.
Yeah, by the time we were done, it's 2 hours. I was sitting in chair for about 5.5 hours talking. And by the time we were done, about 2 hours of all the stuff that we're not supposed to know about. And we have a lot of interesting pictures on there. And those pictures show stuff that, you're not supposed to know about. So that makes it interesting.
Yeah. So if we can get that Aage Nost trailer keyed up, Katie, we could roll it whenever you're ready. Just let it go whenever you're ready.
Keep all the evidence of UFOs and extraterrestrial beings visiting Earth on a regular basis has been taken into a court of law and presented before a judge and a jury, there would have been a hanging a long time ago. My name is Aage Nost and came to the United States to go to flight school. I got a commercial pilot license with a single and multi-engine airplane and instrument flight instructor rating. I've logged over 10,000 hours of flight time, including just about 1,000 hours upside down teaching aerobatics. A partner and I owned a flight operation together for many years. I have found that UFOs are real because I have seen them. And now they are everywhere in the sky. Most pilots who have flown for 10, 20 years or more, if you get them to the side and talk to them heart to heart, most of them will admit that they have seen things in the sky that should not be there.
There you go, Aage.
Yeah, that was a blast making that one.
Yeah, well, it was a blast making the nice long interview, you know, that we did for you. And if we can key up the screen of Aage's DVD, that would be great at some point while we're talking about his wealth of information that he's given everybody out there who takes a look at his DVD. And, you know, Aage, you're an amazing person. You know, you came from Norway, changed total worlds. You speak, what, 5, 6 languages?
Something like that.
Yeah. And we know the world is blessed that you and Diana have this show, because you do this every week at this time.
Yeah, but she speaks 7 languages.
Hey, she's got a great story she's going to tell here in a little bit about how she changed her personal reality and changed her world. And so that's coming up too. So we want to be sure and have people listen to Diane later in the program about that.
Yeah, and we're just sitting on the edge of the chair here. I want to hear more about your journey off the planet. Because I know there are other people out there that's sitting on the edge of the chair too, so lay it on us.
Well, it's an interesting story because, frankly, it started way back in Portland, Oregon, when I was a life insurance salesman selling death. I had made pretty good money. I had been working for Standard Insurance of Oregon and also the New York Life. And within about a year of doing those, I began to get enough money coming in with renewal of commissions that I was bored. I had a racing Corvette that I raced. I had a high-speed boat that we did water skiing on the Columbia River. I had property that I owned in Clackamas, 5 acres. You know, I had a great family. I had a new daughter. But, you know, Aage, I just wasn't happy. I wasn't unfulfilled. I mean, I went golfing. I was terrible at it. So then one day, I was driving along the Columbia River. And it's a beautiful river. And I saw some boats out there, and I stood there right by the airport because the Portland airport runs right alongside the Columbia River. And I stood there and I watched those people sailing. And I thought, I don't have a sailboat. I'll go buy a sailboat. Well, so I was searching all along the Columbia River for boats for sale, because in those days we didn't have the internet yacht brokers. And I came upon this old, beautiful gaff rig ketch, which is like Joshua Slocum sailed around the world. It was a replica, and it had been built by a fireman who had over 30 years put into building this ship, and then he died and it just sat there. And the boatyard was selling it. And so I immediately looked at that and I thought, wow, that's 40 feet long, 41. That's a great boat. How much is it? And the guy said, well, make me an offer because it's got dry rot. And I said, dry rot, what's that? And he took me down and showed me. He just took a screwdriver and ran it right up through the hull. And I thought, well, I was a welder. I had worked my way through college by welding. So I looked at that hull and I thought, well, heck, I can just put a steel hull on that. And my dad was a welder and he helped me. Long story short, we went ahead and rebuilt that boat, and it was called the Tanya. And then I suddenly got into this boating world, and I met these boating people that were taking off. They were heading out there. They were going to go see the world. They were going to sail away. A lot of them were unhappy with how things were going in America. And I met this one couple, and they told me about this brand new kind of ship called the Trimaran. So I immediately drove up to Seattle and went aboard a 47-foot one of a guy and his wife that had sailed around the world. And I said, I got to have one. They're roomy. They don't tip along their side. 3 hulls. They're very stable. And they looked to me like safe. It was more like airplane construction. And so I went back. I sold that boat, and I built this 47-foot boat with a partner named Mike Sones. And we took off. We didn't know how to sail. We didn't know how to navigate. And all we knew is we were going to sail around the world. I mean, and so we loaded a bunch of people aboard who all gave us a little money for food. And we took off and we headed to the mouth of the Columbia River and turned left. And man, did we learn a lot in our first leg of our journey, because we were going to leave from San Diego, but the minute we got off the Oregon, California's coast, we hit this huge storm, and it blew us out to sea, and by the time we missed San Francisco completely, we were 300 miles out by the time we turned and tacked in, and we just kissed the earth. So, long story short, we ended up sailing that vessel to Honolulu, Hawaii, and the Hawaiian Islands. I spent 2 years down the boat, and believe it or not, I got totally bored with that lifestyle, and I started wondering, who am I? And why am I on this planet anyway? You know, what's it all about, Alfie? And I sold the boat, and I began to research who I am and why we're here. And what happened is the morning that the people were coming to pick up the boat, now bear in mind, this is in downtown Hawaii at Ala Yacht Harbor, and it was just breaking morning, and I got up 4:30, went in, got dressed, went in and put on the coffee pot, came back to my bunk, and I like to lay there in my big double bunk with the sky hatch open and look up at the beautiful Hawaiian sky. And then suddenly, the most incredible thing happened. There was like a tingling, and that tingling got more intense, and then there was like a sparkling in the room. And the next thing I knew, this incredible woman materialized right beside my bed. And I immediately thought I was hallucinating. I mean, this couldn't be happening. This is a dream. But the energy field that she emanated began to engulf me, and I suddenly was like ecstatic, and it was almost orgasmic. I mean, except it was so pleasurable. And she looked at me and she smiled at me, and she said, "We're here, and I'm your friend." And I said, "I've got to be dreaming. This can't possibly be happening." And she says, "Oh, it is. We've come here to ask you to come to a briefing. And if you're willing to come, you're going to learn some things about what's really going on." And I said, "You can't be real." And she said, "Touch me." So I reached out, and I put my hand on her arm, and she was there. She was just as real as I was. It was incredible, and the energy was so engulfing. And she said, "Will you come with me?" And I said, "Yeah." And the next thing I knew, she said, "Close your eyes and just imagine that you're there." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because you will be." And I said, "I can't do that." And she said, "Yes, you can, because I'm going to help you." And I closed my eyes. And I was in New York City at LaGuardia Airport. And there were people all around me. And they were real. And she had told me to go up to the ticket counter and ask for a ticket to the Jupiter, on the Jupiter flight. And I did it. I walked up to the ticket window. And the woman didn't seem surprised. She just said, "Here's your ticket. And walk over there and take that elevator up to the concourse." I got in the elevator. There was an old man and a boy in the elevator with me. Within a minute, we were on the concourse, and I was met by these incredible people, and they had these amazing clothes on that sparkled, and it was like lycra, only way back then. This was in 1971, 72. This lycra material, and it was blue, and they had the rainbow stripes across the chest. And she led me in, and I took a seat there, and I looked out the window. It was like a portal. And next to me were 3 digital clocks, only they were like the old digital, where the numbers flip over on a little white screen. And then the loudspeaker said, "We're taking off now. Don't be alarmed." And there was no feeling, emotion, or movement. I looked out the window and I saw the earth shrinking from the size of a $50 down to a dime, and then it was gone, and it was nothing but a glorious star field. And within about, I don't know, it seemed like 15, 20 minutes, we landed, and I disembarked down this causeway that was moving. And I looked back, and I saw this incredible flying saucer, as people call it. And the sky was so radiant, filled with pinks and lavenders and greens, and the energy was so encompassing and ecstatic. Even as I tell it, that energy is with me, and it's with other people who are out there that are afraid to say what they know is true. And I just encourage them to come forth. And they asked me to go to a briefing. And they took me to this incredible place. And as we went there, we walked on this incredible green grass on both sides, landscaping, beautiful dome buildings, not very high. There was, they looked like they were, I don't know, maybe 100 feet high. And I went to this briefing, and I was shown things that absolutely devastated me. I was shown what some people call the Akashic records, perhaps. Some people call them the whole track. Somebody say that that's our destiny. Aage, there were cataclysms. There were earthquakes. There was transportation failing. There was no power. There were breadlines. There were tsunamis. There were the earth as we know it being transformed, and the people dying. And I thought, my God, how can this be? This is our future. This is our destiny. This is our fate as a species, because it encompassed the whole world, not just where I live, the whole world, Aage and Diane. And then all of that changed, and it became a beautiful scenario. And I came to realize that we have a choice between which destiny we have. We have a choice of facing an apocalyptic future. We have a choice of a restored earth. And we as individuals, each and every one of us who feels so overwhelmed and think we can't do anything about it, we can. We have free will. And if we'll simply agree that we're going to change the course of our destiny, we are given free will for exactly that reason. And perhaps it's a test. I don't understand the whole thing. But Aage, you know about that. You know about how reality is created. You know about so much because you've studied so long and so hard about how reality is manifested. And all I can say is, of course, you're overwhelmed out there. How do you have enough money for gas and childcare to pay your house rent, your taxes? You're exhausted. You got drive times to work. Step back and realize that the destiny of this planet is in our hands. The elite have their destiny. They've set up colonies that are off this world. If only people saw a film like Packing for Mars by Tonya and Frank Jake, they'd know. Look out there. Educate yourself. I'm sorry, I've carried on here. Far too
Yeah, but that's okay. I thought this was, I bet there's a few wet eyes around here listening, because this was so involved and so personal that I really appreciate you telling us about this. And now, these people that you visited with, they looked just like us, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. You know, but Aage, it's possibly that they can transform their imagery, just as some people here on the planet can do. But I will say this. When I first came out with this published story, I was on the Art Bell show. And in those days, I don't remember the year. It's up there if you're a Streamlink member or whatever. No one was talking about the multiverse. Nobody was talking about what we now know as almost traditional physics. So for so many years, the fact that I took on a mission, which I did, people thought I was insane, that I was crazy, you know, and all that kind of thing. But now as time has passed, it's become more acceptable, and people can begin to understand what might have taken place.
Yeah. Why don't you hang on to that thought? We're at the top of the hour here, and we need to take a 4-minute break, and let's continue this conversation afterward for a few minutes. I really want to hear a little bit of the rest of the story here, and also both myself and Diana's got something to say too. So let's do that little break, and then we will be right back with the Universal Consciousness Show. Running over.
Let me assure you that our priority will remain to ensure stability and security.
In order to ensure the security and continuing
stability, security for Canadians.
Galactic Empire!
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Attention L&M Radio Network listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the L&M Radio Network by calling 605-562-4203? No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 605-562-4203 to listen to the L&M Radio Network on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Brothers at Arms is not about being militant, though there is a time and place where that is necessary. Brothers at Arms is not about arguing, though there are times where things may get heated. Brothers at Arms is not about who is right or wrong. There are many sides to each issue. Brothers at Arms is about exploring those sides, about dealing with the issues facing us today, about coming together and, through opposing views, understanding the deeper truths that are in the middle. Join Ira Robinson and Joe Long each Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LateNightInTheMidlands.com as these brothers at arms discuss what you need to know. Brothers at Arms, it's about time. Have you been looking for answers? Have you been seeking the truth but can't seem to find it? Late Night in the Midlands has the answers for you. Whether you are interested in the paranormal, aliens and UFOs, alternative health information, or just a little hope and inspiration, we have a show for you. Late Night in the Midlands, The Secret Teachings, Open Eyes, Red Pill Reality Show, Brothers at Arms, and many more shows. All here on the L&M Network for you to listen to at any time that you want. Everything is free to listen to, and though it is not required, we are listener supported, and all donations are deeply appreciated. You will not find shows like this in the mainstream media. Go to LateNightInTheMidlands.com to listen. The L&M Network, where the truth has no fear.
This is TJ Sanfilippo, host of Navigating the River Styx. Join us each and every Thursday night at midnight here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Together, we will traverse the forbidden waters of the paranormal, the occult, our hidden history, conspiracies, and things that dwell in the darkness and deep. Come, grab a seat by the fire away from the night that is closing in. I have tales to tell you. When the clock strikes 12, I invite you to join us here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Until then, stay safe.
The L&M Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information and subscribe today. Information on becoming an L&M subscriber can be found at the top of LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of LateNightInTheMidlands.com and help us help you.
And hello, we're back again with the Universal Consciousness Show, and we are having a conversation here with Robert Miles, and we had a very, very interesting emotional experience explained to us when he was taken aboard an alien spacecraft and brought to some other world where he had a briefing. And you have no idea how much I appreciate this, Robert, because I could see the emotion in you, and I had it too, because it felt right in my heart. Because of the multiverse, this is not the only world. There are others. And when you were with these people, they were obviously in another vibration. And they were in another dimension, so to speak. Did you feel that they were actually talking to you, or was it just talking in your head telepathically? That is one thing that I was wondering about.
Well, you know, Aage, I've thought back on that, but in truth, I was so astounded that this was happening. And, you know, I've had probably 1,000 people ask me that question. But and then people would ask me, well, why didn't you ask them who they were? I mean, that's the most basic thing, and the only answer I can give you is that I was so engaged that all I could think of was going ahead and accepting a mission that they asked me to accept, to return to the reality we know as third-dimensional space-time planet Earth, and begin to attempt to help people to understand perhaps that they can change the future. And you know, it's an up and down ride. There's been highs and there's been terrific lows. My life has been destroyed several times because of my commitment to my mission. And a lot of what's going on, the documentaries I've made and things, are an attempt to do that. You know, anybody that does this kind of stuff with these kind of small TV series and stuff, know there's no money in it. But, you know, there is a trickle of income. That all helps out on the production stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know how that works. And where do you think they took you?
Well, wherever it was a reality where the planet Jupiter is nowhere near as NASA describes it. And fortunately, we're getting a lot of people out on the net that are disclosing that the reality we know as NASA and our solar system is false, that there really is a different dimensional reality on those planets, including Mars, you know, not just Mars, but all the planets in our solar system. And of course, that's all being kept from us by the mainstream media.
Yeah, we've been lied to by NASA about that. Even on Mars, you know, there's an atmosphere up there. You can see blue skies, and it wouldn't be blue unless it had oxygen in it. So we know the story on that. But there are these aliens that you saw. Were there other aliens also that looked different than us?
Well, there were other people or beings, regardless of their form. There wasn't the kind of weirdness that you see in Star Wars, where all of these creatures were running around. Whatever means they had to bring individuals there, some of them were humans from our time-space reality dimension, planet Earth, because I've had 2 people over the last 40 years say they also attended the briefing. So anyone out there that attended that briefing where I was, or a briefing similar to that, is invited to email me at rdm@safespaceproject.com, which is on the TimeStream website. So I look forward to hearing from someone.
Did you have any personal conversations with these people at the briefing, or was it just visual only?
No, since then I've had downloads. I've had communication. And normally, Aage, I wouldn't even answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, it brings up ridicule. People want to say, well, what did you see? You know, that kind of thing. And I can just say that I can feel the intensity of the energy when I'm going to get a communication. I can feel the validity of the communication. Like I recently helped a lady who wrote 3 books on Atlantis, Valerie Bondswood. She lives in Canada, and she has 3 amazing books. And I was prompted to talk with her and help her by Don Ware, who's a fabulous person. And there's a couple of clips up on YouTube of Don himself, and there's one DVD that he's engaged in. But you know, yes, I've had continuous...
That's good. That's good, because then they stay in contact.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
And Aage, you can see this medallion, which I wear. It's a rocket ship in what we call a token ring, but most people would call a Stargate, and that's my logo. And there's some images that are going to come up with that as we go forward in the show. But
let me comment on something here. They were talking about the fact, or you had images of the fact that we are in control of our reality. And a lot of people, and most people, don't even think of it that way. But that is very, very true, because science now is coming around to the fact that what we see around us is not real at all. It is all mind-created. We live in a mind-created universe. And I have my favorite analogy there is, in fact, I'm going to spend 30 seconds telling you, and that is that for about 300 years now, since Newton, we've been told that matter and energy cannot be created from nothing. But then there is the most brilliant people on the planet. They're saying that their equations on the blackboard using quantum physics show that this whole universe was created from nothing. And if this whole universe was created from nothing, and everything in it was created from nothing, and you are in this universe created from nothing, what are you?
Exactly.
Now, we got to think about that, because if we are nothing, which means we create what we see, why don't we back up a little bit and decide that, oh, I'm going to create some better things than what normally would happen if I did nothing. We should go and design the future the way we want it to be, and go think on it and think on it and think on it and submerge ourselves in it. Because once that is embedded in our mind, the mind reaches down through the subconscious, the superconscious, and out to the universal consciousness, and it starts matching vibrations and pulling it back to us, and we can control a lot of the future. Now, the wild card in it is time. Because where we pull this back from, time does not exist as we know it. There is just is. So we have to set it in a time constraint. We have to place that thing that we want in the future at a time-coded event instead of a calendar. And once we start doing this, things happen. So I encourage people to do that. And actually, I know...
Well, I want to comment on that, Aage, because it's really difficult for most people to accept that, but there is a tremendous change that's occurring because of books like The Secret and the DVD, The Secret. And, you know, I really recommend that people get that and watch it online or whatever, because it's got amazing information. And I have some of the Secret books, one called The Magic. And you're absolutely right, and you're very wise, and people that listen to your show on a regular basis are very, very fortunate, because they get in-depth information that we can't cover in the short time we have today. But if people would just watch the movie The Matrix, because that is such a well-done visual and audio demonstration of not exactly the way it is, but the mechanics of the way it is. I mean, I'm not going to say that people are all hooked up as a battery, you know, but there's something going on. And so the Matrix is a really good thing.
And the thing about this mind-created universe, it's been proven by examples over and over and over again. In fact, 20 years ago, Art Bell on his radio show Coast to Coast AM, he did an experiment when Texas they had not had any rain for 3 months, and it was all dried out, no water, and the cattle was dying, towns were running out of water, and Art Bell asked the listeners, visualize rain over Texas. And we all did. I listened that night. And the next day there were thunderstorms all over Texas, and there were all kinds of rain there. And the weather forecasters, they came out and said, you know, we're dumbfounded, you know, this shouldn't have happened. There were no moisture in the computer models anywhere that could create this rain. We don't know how it happened. Well, I know how it happened. The listeners on Coast to Coast, they created that rain because we altered reality. And that leads me yeah, that leads me to something here that actually Diana has a very personal experience about, because in her past here she was very ill. She had several debilitating illnesses, and she healed herself by thinking herself well. And maybe Diana, you could mention something about that?
Yes, I will put it very short because we have a lack of time. But as I already told in my presentation on the previous show, many years ago, I was the kind of person that thought everything happened to me and I am not able to succeed in anything and everyone else is better than I am. And I had wrong beliefs and wrong mental programs like money is the eye of the devil, being rich is a sin, and the list can continue. And anyway, I thought my life is an unfair struggle that I inevitably lose anyway. And that was exactly what I manifested in my reality. I created a bunch of mental and physical diseases. I was bulimic, I was agoraphobic, I was obese, of course. And I had a lot of physical problems also, and the allopathic doctors sent me to cut this and that. I was supposed to do a hysterectomy and to remove also my gallbladder, and thank God I never had time to go in a hospital. Well, in the end, I was with a burnout syndrome, and I was depressed and broken at all levels. And on top of all this, as a single mother in a foreign country with 3 jobs in the same time and no support at all, I also found out that my daughter will end up in a wheelchair because of autoimmune disease. And she was at that time 3 years old. And of course, my limits were pushed too far away, so I decided to stop and understand what is going wrong. I was wondering how people that went through an NDE, through a near-death experience, can come in their dying bodies and be healed within few hours. And I was wondering, what do the people that heal themselves knows and I don't know? So that's why I started to search and research and learn and listen and experience and practice. And this is how the shift began, with the knowledge that I found within the noetic science, like neuroscience, quantum medicine, vibrational medicine, epigenetics, reconnective healings, as well as the scientific research from near-death experience. I read the authors providing the truth, like Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Rupert Sheldrake, Deepak Chopra, Dr. Eric Pearl, Greg Braden, also Aage Nost, of course. And I was also listening to them all day long. I was listening 8 hours at my work with my earphones at this kind of information, and that was rising my vibration. I understood this after. And then I started with deeper spiritual practice like yoga, qigong, meditation, ho'oponopono, reconnection, and as well as searching for God. And finally, I understood that it was me created this worst scenario in my life, and that I have to go inside me to find out who I really am and take my power back. And it is too much to talk about now, and I will talk about it in a separate show. But the point is that, to make it short, very soon, I don't think it was a few months after that, when I was started to heal, and very short after I was completely healed. And amazingly, this effect spread it also above my daughter. So the next time, that's why I'm saying it was not a long time, because the next time when we went to the regular check in the university hospital, where she did her regular check every 6 months, so it should be less than 6 months, and her autoimmune disease was no longer there. And the doctors, they didn't want to accept, and they repeated the analysis, but it was nothing there to find. And I know that this all happened because I changed my mind, and this is what I know now. And I don't want to take the time anymore. So I will talk about all this in details in another show, in order that not all the people have to spend 15 years on researches to heal themselves. So I can tell them what I did, and I am sure that it works.
Yeah. Actually, this makes perfect sense to me, because there is another story that ties directly into that, and that comes about from this Hawaiian healing system called Opono. There was a Dr. Hugh Len. He was the director of the mental hospital for the criminally insane, and they were all criminally insane people there. He came in and he treated them. He had no personal contacts with them, but he sat there and he healed himself and looked at their file, and they got to the point where they were no longer criminally insane, and they had to shut the mental hospital down because there were nobody in it. So this is well documented. This stuff works. And for the people that is running around popping pills and worried about their diet and all that stuff, that is wonderful. Do that too, but do something with the mind also, because you'll speed up the process. And that's my comment to that one.
Yeah, I totally agree, Aage. And it's difficult to do. It's not easy. Yeah. It's not easy. But we need to do it. I need to do it more myself. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much when it comes to health now. I'm known to give doctors a bad time, but boy, oh boy, are they brilliant. If I break my leg, I'm going to go see one. I'm going to heck with the herbalist. He can sit on the side of the road. I have no use for him. But everything has its place, and healing has its place. The technical treatment at a hospital when you are sick, that also has its place. So we have to understand that. And I know we're running over quite a bit here, but I wanted to mention a few other things too. I know you touched on the ships a little bit, but you were also into some organic farming, and maybe you could talk just a few things of the other things that you've done also before we close it up here.
Okay, yeah, I really wanted to say that I do have a couple of documentary series on Amazon. Prime is one. You don't have to be a Prime member, but if you're on the Prime, if you have the Prime membership, I've got quite a few films up there under the UFO Chronicles. And then also we have the Fast Walker Open File series that I mentioned earlier. When you talk about the ships, yeah, this is one of my loves, Aage. I mean, I love it. And what I did is I mentioned the ship, which we sailed to Hawaii and the experience occurred on, and then I sold that and I began to discover who I was, to study the different aspects of space-time reality. And then I also had another ship I built because we had 300 acres on the island of Roatan down off the coast of Honduras. And amazingly, that brand new ship, 4 months old, was stolen in Mexico while I was actually down in Honduras. Never got it back. And then finally, we have this beautiful Fast Walker Fairweather 1, which we designed and built. We actually built it in Phoenix in 3 pieces and trucked it to Long Beach, California. And the picture there of Katie's got it up, it shows that it's under sail, and that sail area is 3,000 square feet, which is phenomenal. The mast is 80 foot tall, and it had accommodations for 20 people, around 3,000 square feet of interior space. And, part of my ability to design that vessel came from the contact that you asked if I had before. I mean, I literally stood out in the middle of an empty field and began laying out the plans by drawing it on the ground, what the basic hull structure would look like. And then At that time, it was the largest catamaran in the world. And of course, there's much bigger ones now. And so that's a little bit about the ships and boats. But we do have a future project, a Safe Space future project. And Katie has an image there of a beautiful ship with a picture I took in Tahiti as a background mountain. And we're looking to build that ship in the future as part of my mission. And that's going to be a vessel that travels the world with people from all walks of life, all religions, you know, all types of genetics and DNA of different, you know, people from different cultures, different parts of our world would come together as a demonstration that we can work together. You know, we don't have to have war. So that's what the ships are about. And we also, as part of our future projects, want to create an organic-based community. And there's a terrific fellow out there that's written 4 books. His name is Elliot Maynard, on how to transform our world. And so just go out there and look for this great information, folks. Mm-hmm. You don't have to spend a lot of money. I think you're going to queue up a video. I don't know if Katie's queued up the Prime membership page, which if you're a Prime member, these shows are free. And if you're not a Prime member, I think they cost like $2.99 or something to watch them. But
that Amazon Prime is at www.amazon.com/UFO Chronicles, right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's a series, and they've got a bunch of them up there now. I don't know how many, but there's 4 more new ones coming out this year, and we're more. And I say we, that means Leslie Mitz and I and my terrific son, Anthony T. Miles, who was going back to Fast Walkers, which was our breakthrough documentary. He filmed all of that, and most of these interviews are filmed by him, and he is an incredible filmmaker there in Gilbert, Arizona. Fourth Wall Television is his website. But I just want to speak out and say we've had a great team along the way. And I consider you, Aage, and you, Diane, Safe Space team members. And I invite people to go to my webpage and check out Safe Space team memberships. And there's a couple of levels. There's a basic level where you just say you agree that we can have a better world. And there's another level where people get involved in projects that they select, like films or possibly the boat building project. And then there's another level called special team, where you really get in and you do a job. You take on a job and you're expected to perform it. And we've got a few special team members out there because Safe Space has actually been going on for, I'd say maybe 30 years. Yeah. And the Fast Walker movie was a Safe Space project, special project. And we had Bruce in Germany and Stoyan in Bulgaria. And we just had a great team that came together and made that film. Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of getting towards the end here. So could you mention maybe a little more about the movie that you're doing now and where people can go and have a look at it and also participate and watch that video again on the promotional page where they can participate in it?
Oh, well, that's my favorite subject right now. It's a Starseed motion picture that's being done by a group of people. And if you joined the show late, you probably didn't see the introduction, but you can probably catch the whole show on archive shortly on YouTube. Thanks to the great team, the Late Night in the Midlands.
Yeah.
Katie and Bill and all of the great team there. This project is a current motion picture feature film that we're engaged in. And we're moving forward now, and we hope that the film will be released in the summer or the fall of this year, 2018. It's a film that basically exposes the viewer to the idea that not all aliens are bad. It tells a story of a girl by the name of Christina that has a contact experience up on the top of the Mogollon Rim, which is in northeastern Arizona, and a spaceship, a small one, comes down, and a couple of beings, Palladians, began to discourse with her, and she's about 8 years old at this time in the beginning of the script. And in the course of this discourse, her father comes in, and, you know, it literally scares him to death. And he thinks maybe it's the devil. He's not a particularly religious man, but, you know, it shocks him. He grabs her and drags her off and tells her never to speak about it again. And of course, because it's a movie, she does. She becomes a very educated, highly technologically advanced person who teaches courses at ASU there in the greater Phoenix area. And the whole story moves on to expose a lot of things that the viewers out there are going to be excited to know about. Now, a lot of the people, of course, who are educated and have been involved in the UFO community of disclosure will already know, you know, a lot of the information, but Fran's goal, and Fran is our CFO there on the Starseed project, her goal has always been, as has Dixie's and Malie's and Steve's and all of us, is to reach over to the broader public, you know, to be a crossover film that's no longer just interesting to UFO people, but actually is captivating and rewarding to watch so that they can be exposed to the actual reality, what the world is like out there. So that's what the film's about. Be sure and check out the website, Starseed, www.starseedmovie.net, and also the Kickstarter campaign. And we're going to run that again here at the end of the program for the folks that joined late. And I just want to say again what a wonderful team it is, and what a pleasure it has been to be with you guys here on Late Night in the Midlands. And I admire and respect all of you so much, and I thank you for the opportunity to reach out and tell a little bit about the Starseed story and a little bit about my journey. That is continuing, by the way, Aage.
Yeah.
And this journey's not over yet.
Yeah.
Some people will say, hey, one of the team members called me the grumpy old man, and that's fine. My nickname in Spanish is Pelón, which means bald, and I can take a laugh at that myself because that's true. Okay, so anyway, please help us on our Kickstarter campaign. Go there, and if you can't make a pledge for $10, that's fine. Go ahead and repost our Kickstarter campaign and our website to your friends and the people you think might know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that, whatever you like to have posted here, or the video or that towards the end, and then I got a closing statement.
What
you're probably like me, I suppose. A few months ago, somebody asked me, "When are you going to retire?" And I exploded laughing. I just couldn't think of anything. Why in the world do I want to do that? Retire to what? When you're having so much fun, it should be illegal, you know. Then why retire?
Yeah, I retired for about a week. And I got so bored, you know. And then I got a little prompting from my friends in high places, as Bob Dean says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes.
on those different UFO chronicles and the Fastwalkers open files, there's some great people. Bob Dean's there, Jim Mars, God bless him, he's just gone to the side. Oh, I tell you folks, there's so much to learn, and I just love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also for the Universal Consciousness Show, go ahead and look us up on Facebook and join our group that we created for the radio show, the Universal Consciousness Show on Facebook. Join us in the group there, and then you'll see some of the really neat stuff that we put on there for, from time to time, as well as join us on the visit our web pages. There's a new page coming up now. It's www.universal-consciousness-show.com, and you have my blogs there and pictures, and we are putting stuff on there, so that's going to be a new one. And I guess she probably is trying to get that loaded for us, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, until that comes up, I want to say that people can really work together as a team, and that's what it takes. Hopefully, the world will come together soon, because we face a lot of that incredible apocalyptic future if we don't come together and change this reality we face.
Yeah, there is some challenges out there, and it's not the people, not most of the people that create the challenges. It's one of those two plagues that is on us, government and religion. Yeah. And before we get and there we go.
Well, lots of people are first exposed to safe space from the book, but safe space is much more than a book. It's actually a blueprint for a whole new way of life. And the safe space crew, the people that are working on the project, which includes the movie, and also within a short time the building of a beautiful ship, a very technologically advanced ship, are actually dedicated and have a common vision, and that vision is a vision of an Earth without the insanity of war, hunger, and starvation. And it's their vision and their courage and their hard work that'll bring about the safe space vision, which is that as a society we can live and work together, and we intend to create model communities. Some of them will be land-based, some of them will be sea-based, where people come together, they have schools, they have technologically advanced windmills and organic farming, and their schools are based on the real vision, which is that people can live and work together on this earth without the insanities of war.
Hi, I'm Nick Pope. I'm working with a creative team to help produce Starseed, a feature film based on an original screenplay by Robert D. Miles. The aim of Starseed is to break away from some of the negative Hollywood stereotypes about extraterrestrials and explore the true meaning of disclosure and its far-reaching consequences. Starseed will help shed light on a subject that for far too long has been ridiculed, disbelieved, and denied. We're going to explore not just the emotional consequences of contact, but some of the technologies that might derive from it. Everything from new forms of transportation to a way to clear up our polluted planet, and even new types of healing. Your generous contributions will help us distribute Starseed to a global audience across multiple platforms and in numerous different languages. and it's going to help make similar films of this kind in the future. This is your chance to join the revolution, to join the resistance, to help do something truly amazing with this wonderful subject of extraterrestrial contact. This is your opportunity not just to help us make this film, but even perhaps to be a part of it yourself. Thank you for your generous support.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we have any more here. We run over about 45 minutes, so we should be doing good so far. I thank you very much, Robert, for coming on here with us, because this was really enlightening. And the viewers and the listeners, they're going to think after watching and hearing this. They're going to think. And they're going to want to become part of this. They're going to visit the funding page, and we're going to be looking forward to this movie, because this one must be. And